Hello everyone, my name is Dylan, and I'm one of the recipients of Basic Income Works, one of many pilot programs across the world exploring what happens when you give people unconditional cash, with a long-term goal of how we can actually make these kinds of experiments permanent. In this video, I'll be sharing my story and the impact it's had on my life so far. Let's dive in. So before I became a recipient through Basic Income Works, I had been studying in school agroecology and sustainable food systems, which really just kind of opened my eyes and started to rewire my inner constitution and the way that I view the world, and really starting to look at it through a holistic lens. And a lot of the focal points were really just how important it is for everybody on planet Earth to have clean soil, air, water systems, and nutrient-dense food that is accessible to as many people as we possibly can. We've shifted our ways of living, and a lot of us don't really know how to grow food. Some of the basic skills that really stitch you into existence in a way that you actually feel like you belong. We've replaced those with different jobs, and for some it's a good fit, but for a lot, I think we're all searching for a sense of belonging, and we're all starting to question and challenge what true health and what true wealth actually means. It really is one of the most beautiful things when someone gets the chance to break away from the capitalistic pace of life in an industrial setting, where for many we assume a role or a title that feels like a tight, ugly sweater that doesn't represent the full expression of our being. And when we get to feel what it's like to simply exist on a planet we've always belonged to and interface with reality as a steward, it sets the conditions for a whole new sense of self to be born, and one that really feels like it belongs here. One of the things that's been so beautiful about having the space and time to go travel to these eco-villages and organic farms and homesteads and other communal living situations is that these places are actually embedded into the greater web of ecology surrounding those spaces in an integrated manner. And when you start to sync up with being in service to life beyond your own kind of anthropocentric or human-centric and egocentric lens, it really opens up a whole nother level of what I would deem health and wellness. Part of my entire journey from the get-go was coming from asking the question, how can I enhance the everyday connection with reality in a way that feels fulfilling? And I think that a lot of the jobs that exist in the social and vocational roles that I've seen present themselves aren't really oriented towards some kind of goal or service or way of participating with life that would actually bring me fulfillment. And that's why I'm super excited that I actually got to go feel into these potentials for new hubs to kind of open up on planet Earth, where we can have these, permaculture-based operations and a lot of different iterations and variations of how you want to design them in different parts of the world based off of what that place needs, what that culture needs, what kind of foods need to be grown based off of people's preferred diets, but really just starting to create more opportunities for humans to wake up every day and actually feel like they're participating with life in a genuine manner. Because for me personally, a lot of these jobs are just very soul-sucking, and I think that the more I get still and the more I kind of break out of the fight or flight mode of being, it has me asking different questions. It has me thinking more creatively. It has my sense of self deepening its roots down into my soul, to this part of my being that feels very connected to everything else in the world. And that's where this money has been so helpful, just even in the short term, to alleviate the pressure of mere survival. It's really wild thinking about the predominant situation that a lot of us, especially people in my generation, find themselves in, where we have to, find a place to live, sometimes an apartment where we pay rent, and usually that money that we're paying is not getting us closer to, for the sake of using business terms, having an asset. It's harder and harder for people to own land. And, this gave me an opportunity to break out of that system and that cycle I was in, and go plant myself in eco-villages where, I had $1,000 a month, and that was able to cover the plane tickets and, a little extra food that the eco-villages and the farms that I was going to in Portugal and Jamaica maybe couldn't provide in full because they weren't that far along in their evolution. But really just giving that much grace for me to feel into a whole new way of living was such a beautiful experience. If you spend all of your time in settings that program you to believe we live in a world of scarcity, it leaves a pretty deep impression into your psyche. And going out into nature reminds me of the abundant world that exists. The only thing that really blocks me from understanding this is the knowledge of nature. I mean, even just learning the basics of permaculture and understanding the way that perennial plants will, one plant will create 100 seeds, and that process just keeps going on and on. It's like literally built into the function of biology and evolution to be abundant. And even studying the basics of plant identification and starting to learn about native species, it opens up my awareness every day when I walk outside to realize that there's medicine and food all around me, even in the concrete jungle of city life. And when you do get an opportunity to kind of step into another domain of existence, it really feels as if you're changing the channel in your life to a different frequency by getting synced back up with the larger rhythms and cycles of life. And I've noticed for me, the quality and nature of my thoughts were much more clear, and it felt truer to my heart and soul's actual desires. This has all been super inspiring in a way that I want to help other people. And the deeper I've gone into my own self-actualization process, and also just coming to a place of acceptance of the current context of the world and where we are, I just want to help as many people as I can on their own journey of exploration and trying to find a way to weave themselves back into existence in a way that they feel nourished and feel like they belong. And that's where I think these eco-villages and homesteads and other communal living situations hold a lot of promise in fulfilling people, because we are very dynamic beings, and I think dynamic beings need dynamic containers. Along my journey, whether it was Portugal or Jamaica or some of the time I've spent now here on the West Coast, I've been able to talk to a lot of people about the idea of living kind of more in communal situations. And it seems like for the most part, that's kind of a universal thing that's bubbling up right now for the collective. And for me, being a creative producer and having a love for music, having a love for permaculture and the natural world, and also coming from a family of teachers, it has me thinking of ways that I can harmoniously make a place of living that encompasses all of those things. I'm so grateful to have been chosen as a recipient of Basic Income Works. This money has made a monumental difference in my life. Even a 1-degree shift has me on a whole different trajectory, a whole different timeline. It gave me the space and the time to really sink in and to ask hard questions of what it is that I want to do, how do I want to serve, and gave me more time and opportunity to explore how we can create new systems of living that are serving not only humans but all beings on this planet. And this has just been such an incredible journey. I'm so grateful for this money, and I've always wanted to belong in this world, and now a much more accurate depiction of my truest nature feels like it's blooming, and I can only wish that for as many other people as possible. So thank you for tuning in, listening to the story, and Basic Income Works.